May 30th will mark 1 year since 3 young sisters were reported missing in Wenatchee after their father didn't return them from a custody visit.
3 days later, on June 2nd, the bodies of 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker were found near the Rock Island campground, about 17 miles from Leavenworth. The medical examiner ruled they died from asphyxiation. Their father, Travis Decker, was charged with their murders and later found dead in the wilderness.
1 year later, questions still remain about why it happened and whether more could have been done to save them. Tonight, Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison is speaking with Fox 13's David Rose about this case.
For 4 months, the search for Travis Decker stretched across Washington state, from the Cascades to the Pacific Crest Trail to Idaho's Sawtooth National Forest. The case dominated headlines, generated thousands of tips, and became the largest manhunt in Chelan County history. But for Sheriff Mike Morrison, the moment that still stays with him the most happened at the very beginning.
The initial call, just getting a heads up that the girls have been located and just kind of the details of the incident. It was a rocking moment for sure.
On May 30th of last year, Wenatchee police received a civil complaint after Decker failed to return his 3 daughters from a scheduled visit. Investigators learned he was living out of his white GMC pickup truck. Wenatchee police asked the Washington State Patrol for an Amber Alert, but were told the case did not meet the state's criteria because he had parental visitation rights and at that time was not believed to be in imminent danger to the kids. An endangered missing person alert was issued the next day instead. The girls' mother, Whitney Decker, and her attorney have been very vocal that the system let them down in the first 48 hours of the investigation. Could an Amber Alert have helped find them before he killed them based on the timeline of their disappearance?
Well, based off the current policies and procedures, it did not qualify for an Amber Alert. That's why it went to a missing and endangered persons search. Again, we stand with Washington State Patrol. I know that there was an investigation that came back through and assessed the Amber Alert procedures. And again, I think it was properly written out and placed. Could it have been a tool that we could have utilized? We could play the what-if game all day.
On June 2nd, a Chelan County Sheriff's deputy found Decker's abandoned truck near Rock Island Campground outside Leavenworth. Nearby, investigators found the bodies of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. Decker was gone. The search that followed involved the FBI, U.S. Marshals, Border Patrol, the National Guard, and law enforcement agencies from across Washington state. Morrison says despite criticism about how long it took to find Decker, his office never stopped searching. In September, investigators found Decker's partial remains about 3/4 of a mile from the original crime scene.
I think the fact that we were able to do it within just a couple months was impressive. I commend our team. I commend our partners. And of course, yes, we would have loved to have found him within the first 3 days, but I don't see this as a failure. I saw this as perseverance. I saw our agency never giving up hope.
Morrison says the steep climb in the backcountry helps explain why it took so long to locate him. There was no established trail, and it took detectives with hiking experience 2 hours just to go half a mile.
I've seen the terrain. It was difficult to climb up. And again, I've heard some of the critique that we've heard from individuals, not only within our community, but across the strait, saying, why did it take so long? You're only 0.73 miles away. By all means, come on out, check out the terrain, hike up there, and see if you can get up there any closer.
The cost of the massive search effort is estimated at around $10 million, though Morrison says Chelan County itself spent just under $200,000. Is there an unanswered question for you still, personally?
Of course, yeah, I'd like to know why this happened.
Without a trial, though, it's likely there will never be an answer to why Decker killed his daughters.
I don't think we'll ever truly know what was going through his mind, why. From what we understood before, that he was a caring father, an involved father. We actually had some of our deputies within our agencies whose kids were also doing sports with him, and he was always there, always involved, and seemed like he wanted to be as involved as possible with the girls. And then, of course, to see this revelation and what happened certainly was outside of what we would have expected from him.
Sheriff Morrison says there were lessons learned from the investigation.
We certainly went back. We did our debriefs. We understand where communication could have been better, where maybe even the collection of information could have been better.
The discovery of the girls left emotional scars on the first responders who processed the scene where they were found. Some deputies required trauma treatment and PTSD support services afterward.
Many will, of course, not forget this throughout their lives. I'm one of them. But we do the best we can to process it, deal with it, but continue to provide the level of professional service that the community expects from us, no matter what kind of situation we face.
You mentioned in your September press conference you wanted to show honor to Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. How has this case changed the way your deputies view their role in the community?
I think it just further strengthens our motto is of the people, for the people. I've certainly stressed the fact that all of our deputies are members of this community or even our neighboring community over in Douglas County, and that we are for those people. A lot of these individuals are our neighbors, our friends, our family. So we certainly feel like we're part of that community. We're for the community.
And he's proud of the continued support for the girl's family.
And I had a great conversation with Peyton, Evelyn, Olivia's grandfather this weekend when I was out at a community event, and I understand that they're doing the best they can to heal from this, move on. They certainly have requested, of course, peace and quiet. They didn't want any major events taking place to reflect on the anniversary coming up. And I understand that and respect the fact that this is still very traumatic for them. They've done a great job dealing with it, working with us. I really appreciate the fact that they were still able to show up and help us out throughout this process when they were grieving.
You know, a year later, Wenatchee's still healing. What do you want the public to remember about the investigation? And I'm not referencing the manhunt, but about the girls and the community response.
Just the fact that law enforcement agencies, not only within Chelan County, across the state, across the nation, are not successful unless we have community support behind us. So we appreciate the fact that our community is supporting us. They're behind us. We know that's not always the case nationwide, and we don't take that for granted.